Thanks again for joining me on another book review. But before we get started, go ahead and hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Let's go ahead and get into this book review. The book is called The Thing About Home by Rhonda McKnight, and this is the cover of the book. I listened to this book the first time as a bedtime story a while back. And then I read it again recently due to it being a selection for a book club that I am a part of. Yeah, I've actually listened to it twice now. So come on in, have a seat, and let me tell you about this book. Okay. So the story starts off with a jaw dropper. Okay. Drew is calling off the wedding, or should I say, vow renewal. Now, Drew waited until right before walking down the aisle to say that he couldn't do it. Now, Cassie was blindsided by Drew's declaration of wanting a divorce and his reasons for wanting said divorce. So this story goes into Cassie picking up the pieces of her life, and we are taken along for the ride. So let me tell you about some of the characters you will encounter while reading this story. There is Casey, and she is a media influencer and has a huge following. Now, Casey showed us how being a social media influencer is a fickle environment. One day you're hot, and the next you're not. Your audience loves you one minute, and then they go in for the kill the next minute. She also showed us never to go live when under the influence or emotionally off center. We still talk about Tyree and his meltdown, among others that have melted down or wigged out on social media. So, yeah, when you're not in a good space, just put the phone down. Don't start posting. Don't start live chatting. Just step away and get yourself together. Then we have Drew, who wanted a divorce from Cassie and has moved on quite quickly with his life. Now, is Drew's reasoning valid, or did he use those reasons as an excuse to justify his own behavior? Well, Drew had a small part in the scheme of all of this whole story. um, he did what he did and he was out. Then there is Victoria, Casey's mother and talent manager. Victoria keeps Cassie to herself and only associates with a few extended members on the maternal side and gave no information pertaining to the paternal side of the family other than a small bit of information about Cassie's father. We hear a little bit about Odessa and Elijah, whom were Cassie's great grandparents on the paternal side. In this story, they acquired acres of land and had many children. Now, Odessa was an educated Black woman of her time, and Elijah was a bricklayer. And the story kind of gives us a little bit of detail about how they obtained this land that has been passed down in the family. Now, there is Ida Black, which is Casey's paternal grandmother. And Ida is her later years. Like, I think she's like in her 80s or 90s or something like that. And, she's still vibrant and active on the farm and in the community. We get to see Cassie find and get to meet her paternal family. We will see a sprinkling of the Black family members because, as in the book, it says that there is a family member skilled in everything one might need. Then we hear about Nigel, who works on the Black family farm and is very knowledgeable about the land and community. Now, Nigel has a daughter, Star, that he cares for, and we get to see a glimpse of who this man is. Um, I would have personally liked to know a little bit more. And then we learn that Cassie is discovering herself via learning about her paternal family history. She missed out on knowing her family all these years and learns the real reason of why. It was wonderful to read about the history and how the land was obtained, especially for the time period in which it was obtained. Reading the journals of her ancestors, I mean that had to kind of be an amazing feeling that her ancestors had written down, about their lives, about who they were as a family, etc. And getting those journals passed down to you. So, yes, she missed out on meeting some of these people, physically face to face, but she did have these journals to get to know these people and where she came from and how everything kind of came to be in the history of her paternal family. For her family to accomplish what they did during their time, I mean, it was pretty amazing how they finagled. Okay. You'll have to read the book to find out how Casey recovered from this botched vow renewal, the divorce, and how she really came to know herself a little bit more and discover herself, what she wanted, and blossom a little bit. I listened to the audiobook version, which is 11 and a half hours long. The narrator is, oh, I'm going to botch this name. Yinka Ledney. Sorry, I know I botched that. I apologize. And she did a good job conveying the story and giving us emotion where needed. I did enjoy the flips between the past and the present. I would have liked more of the past mixed in because it added a bit of depth to the story and was an interesting aspect that I wanted explored a little bit more. I think the story could have extended to another book. That's up to the author, of course. I would like to see the next phase of the characters' lives in depth. Now you have an epilogue, but I kind of wanted I want more than just the epilogue. I kind of want them to go into detail of how Casey really moves forward in her life in a little bit more depth than just what we got in the epilogue. I also would have liked to see a little bit more about the mother and daughter relationship between Casey and Victoria. It gave us an idea of how their relationship used to be and how it is currently. I would have liked to see how their relationship went moving forward after the pertinent information was revealed and how they interacted after Casey had gotten to know her paternal side of the family and how they dealt with that moving forward. I did think a pivotal point in the story could have been expanded on and developed a little bit more. It gave us the information, but I just felt it kind of moved fast at that point. It was just like, and then it kind of kept going. The narrator did a good job of conveying the story in that pivotal moment, but I just think the author could have just gave us just a little bit more pertaining to that. And yes, you will have to read the book to find out what those pivotal moments are. But I think there could have been an extra heightened level in those moments. With all of that said, I gave the book an 8 out of 10. There is death mentioned, there's miscarriage mentioned, just so you know. Hoopla shows this book under fiction. That's all they had was fiction. Libby has the book under the category of romance, African American fiction, and fiction. Storygraph shows this book under emotional and reflective. And the book does have discussion questions, so I will refer you to that for conversation starters. Now, I did mention in a previous review that I referenced having a conversation about another book where the question is posed, about how much a parent needs to reveal about themselves and their life experiences. Well, this is the book that I was referring to. So, talk about Victoria's choice as it pertains to how little she shared about her past and as it relates to uh, Casey. Was she obligated to share like every detail of that story? If you, when you read the book, you'll see Victoria's perspective on, why she gave as much or as little as she gave. And then you see kind of Casey's like, well, you could have told me more than what you did. Talk about, would that make a difference for you? Would knowing more information make a difference or not? So yes, but I will leave you to go ahead and look at the physical copy of the book to get more discussion prompts. So in a nutshell, that is what book is about. Casey gets jilted at her vow renewal, and shortly thereafter is divorced. Um, and then she goes on a quest to find out about her paternal roots, and then you see how that journey goes. So, yeah. I hope I have said something that will pique your interest and you will go pick up this book for yourself. If you have read the book, tell me what you think about it in the comments, okay? So that's it for this round. And until next time, keep turning the pages, my book lovers.